The Seattle Kraken were eliminated on April 11th. The expectation for this team, relatively low, missed the playoffs in 3 out of their first 4 years as a franchise in the NHL, only qualifying in year 2 and making it to Game 7 of the second round. Lane Lambert, in his first season, behind the bench, taking over for Dan Bylsma. There was some promise coming into the lineup this year with the acquisitions of Mason Marchment from Dallas, who had since been traded to Columbus, defenseman Ryan Lindgren, and forward Frederik Gaudreau. They started relatively well, going 11-5-5. Their goaltending, which I had questioned, and I think I sold you on during our summer coolers, wasn't terrible between Philipp Grubauer and Joey Daccord. But after the good start, the team went 1-9-1 between mid-November and mid-December. That was followed by an 8-0-2 run. But the inconsistency of this team was dotted throughout the schedule. They had 6 occasions where they had strings of at least 3 consecutive regulation losses. They were among the lowest scoring teams in the NHL. Some of their forward group that had been looked to taking a step up have kind of just settled into a very mediocre state. Jared McCann had 40 goals in 2022-23. He has dropped since then. Matty Beniers is around a 50-point player. Shane Wright, who is a high draft pick, has really not performed. And with Ron Francis now leaving this team and Jason Botterill having full control of the operations there, I think there's a lot of work ahead for this team.
There sure is, and it's surprising that you go from Ron Francis to Jason Botterill. I still don't know what's going on there. As you know, Ronnie was the GM for the inaugural team and started the franchise, and then somehow Botterill came in and Francis moved up to president, and now Francis is leaving as president, and it'll be Botterill by himself, who doesn't have a great track record from his time in Buffalo. They definitely have their work ahead of them. The other thing that they've been doing is changing coaches like most people change their underwear. I mean, they've been going from Hakstol to Bylsma to Lane Lambert, and nobody can get this thing going. They had one good playoff year when they knocked out Colorado, but other than that, it's been disappointing out there in Seattle.
Botterill has 8 picks in the 2026 draft, 2 in the first round, Seattle's own, and pick acquired from Tampa in the Oliver Bjorkstrand deal from last year. They also have 2 in the 4th and 2 in the 7th. $4.3 million in projected cap space. Their UFAs, Jaden Schwartz, Ellie Tolvanen, Bobby McCann, who was acquired from Toronto at the deadline, and Jamie Alexiak, who was an original member of the Seattle Kraken. So I don't see this team next season being any closer than they were this year. I don't think they were a bottom feeder, but it's almost like they're going to be in suspended animation, at least for the next couple of years. I don't see a bump here.
No, I think they'll be kicking around trying to get into the wild card spot. I know we're repeating ourselves saying this, but there is a lot of work to be done here by Seattle in the offseason to try to nudge their way up the ladder.
And now it is time to bid some fond farewells for a couple of greats, one on the ice and one in the broadcast booth.